Welcome to the Business Spotlight podcast. My name is Kay Cote, and I'm your host for today's episode. And today on the show, I have Heidi Laki, CEO and co-founder of Noetic, as my guest. We're going to be learning about her business, her journey to business ownership, best practices, and challenges that she's faced to give you that inside look to what it's like to build and operate a business. Welcome, Heidi. So great to meet you. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Kay. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Well, I'm super excited to dive into all things business. But before we do that, I'd love to share with the audience a little bit about you. So take us back as far as you'd like. Share about yourself and how you got started in Noetic.
I have had a winding and unexpected career path. I'll go all the way back. Out of undergrad, I was in the Peace Corps. I fully expected that I was going to be a foreign service officer or something of the like, go to USAID maybe. But within 2 years of being in the Peace Corps, I was like, I don't think I can work for the government, which the irony is not lost on me that now I do a product that works deeply with the government. But at that point, I was like, I think I need to learn some private sector skills, and I want to come back to this one day, right? It's still an aspiration, to be clear. And so then from there, I went into the energy sector. I went in and in 2008, the most fortuitous of times. Within months, my company was a penny stock or close to it. We laid off, I think, a third of the employee base. I got kept on because I was cheap labor, overnight promoted into a bunch of jobs I really had no business doing. And that is actually where I got my first product management gig, which I loved. Especially in energy, where you get to do a combination of like hardware and software. You're really thinking about like big, large scale systems. I loved it, but was advised that it's an old school industry and that I probably need a like finance or legitimate engineering degree. And so I went back to get my MBA. Post MBA, I ended up at McKinsey and then at Vista Equity Partners. And what I realized in those stints of my career was I don't want to advise. I don't want to invest. I want to build. Um, and so I went back into the private sector. I went into Indeed, and they were at the intersection of building cool things, doing a little good in the world, and making money. And that felt like the greatest place for me to be with my background. Was there for 5 years, loved it. My last gig there, I got the opportunity to build our AI agent suite for employers. And I just became like a true believer in the technology. It also happened to be where I met my co-founder, Jason. Um, and he and I had like a handshake agreement that like, and he's a serial entrepreneur. He was like, if you ever decide to leave, there's a happy hour, there's a discussion. We figure out if it's like a time for us to start a thing together. Um, and I just saw everything happening in the agent space, and I saw the power that these things had and the use cases you can unlock. And I was like, man, it's so exciting out there. And it's been such a downturn in tech, big tech lately, that I was like, I think it's never been better to be in startups. It's maybe never been worse to be in big tech, or at least not since the dot-com bust. And we decided to leave. And he has experience in construction tech. He brought this use case to me. We both kind of fell in love with it, and we started. So we
That is cool. What a story. I love a journey like that. So I'm really excited to dive into business. And so okay, so now you're rocking and rolling. How many years have y'all been in business?
This is still our first year. We began about 9 months ago. So we are in the baby stages of baby stages.
Okay, okay. Now is it just you two? Do you have any other employees right now? Any board, anything like that?
There's four of us. We brought on actually a city planner from the city of Austin, which has been, I mean, truly transformative for us. And then one of the engineers who helped me build the agent suite at Indeed. And so it's a tiny team. It's just the four of us. We all sit together in one room, like one Pete's team, one tiny happy family in there. Yeah, that's us.
I love it. Small but mighty. Small but mighty. Awesome. So now tell me, Heidi, what does your day-to-day look like? Like, what are some of the things that you are working on, the hats that you wear?
Oh my gosh, it's truly all over the place. I sometimes, I've told people this before, but like I've been through many different business roles in my past. I actually think leading a startup is closest to the Peace Corps of all things, because like there is no roadmap. No one is telling you what to do. You are truly creating something from nothing. You are like willing it into being. That feels a whole lot more like the Peace Corps. Um, It is all over the place because I'm in product by background. I sometimes I'm like literally committing code, especially since more and more code is written in natural language. I'm doing tons of getting out there and meeting people in business development. So I spend a lot of my time in like conferences, luncheons, things like that, trade associations. Um, and then I spend time thinking about like, how do we position ourselves? How do we create value propositions and value bombs? And like, do we want to A/B test those things with like LinkedIn, for example, right? So those are all kind of like the kind of like wide variety of things that I do. Um, and then all the way down to the nitty gritty. I do the accounting. I do the legal. I do the, HR paperwork. It's literally everything.
Okay, so many, many hats. Now, which ones do you love doing and which ones do you wish you could offload?
Oh my gosh. I love the product. It's so fun. It's so fun to build. It's so fun to have an idea and to bring it to life. And then I also deeply love working with customers because you begin with an idea of how a thing is meant to work or meant to be used. And then you get in the hands of somebody real. And you're like, that is not how this process works in real life. And it is just like the most um, I think you learn an incredible amount by watching users. And so really it's being with our customers and building our product. Things that I wish I could never have to do. Payroll, contracts. I'm like, I can do a legal document, but I really don't like it. And like, I'm not a lawyer by trade, so inevitably I end up talking to lawyers. Those are probably the things that I wish I could do least of.
Okay, the admin side. It sounds like you're visionary. You like that big picture, you like to build, and then it's like the admin stuff is just the nitty-gritty
Oh
stuff.
my God. I'm like, how do I get out of this as fast as
I'm right there with you. Oh my gosh. Okay, so next question is kind of a spin-off. So if I gave you an extra 10 hours in your week, where would you put those hours? Business, personal, a little bit of both?
both? I mean, they feel like the same thing so much of the time. I think I would probably want to dial up a little bit of like the pure joy. That's really hard to get. I have a 4-year-old and I run a business. And so like there's not a lot of like Heidi's goes and plays games. I love board games or like Heidi goes and takes a long walk. Like those are precious few moments. I'd probably want to get a little bit more of that. And then honestly, I feel like I never get enough hours in the business. It would probably be like another 10 hours. That sounds so wrong, but it's true. Like,
Gone.
I'm building this thing. I want it to be successful. Um, I'll put as much time into it as it takes, to be totally frank.
Oh, I dig it. I dig it. So, when it comes to business owners, I talked to many different on different levels, like you said, some startups, some 10 years down the road, and there's business owners were always growing through something. Could be a transition, a new merger, something going on. So what is something that you and your team are growing through that's taking up most of your time?
I would say that like Jason and I are technologists by background, but neither of us is like has a deep experience in go-to-market, like sales or marketing, right? And so our typical motion is to go through either people that we know in our own books of business or like referrals, but that doesn't scale, right? Like at some
Mhm.
point, you need to get out there. You need to like be much more aggressive about your outbound motion. You need to be testing much more aggressively, like how to like generate inbound marketing. And those are the things that like we are just not naturals at, right? And so like we find ourselves having to step into an uncomfortable place where we're like, all right, let's go talk to 200 people this week, and we're probably going to get rejected by 90% of them, and that's fine, right? Not a natural place for us to go, but like definitely a place where we need to be and are growing.
Mm. You touched on something that I think a lot of business owners are struggling with. It's like, because if you come into it, like most business owners, like come with a passion or a purpose or something there, but sales is like a whole new
Hard.
beast. It's hard. but it's necessary and it's like putting on the uncomfortable shoes. It sounds like you guys are like tackling that though.
It is also, I think, where you get the best feedback on
Yeah.
like, is it going to work? Right? Like, is somebody going to pay for this? What are their objections? Like, why did they not choose to buy right this second? How many people do they have to get involved in like this buyer cycle? Is this going to take 6 weeks or 6 months? Like, if you delegate that out too early, you lose such important visibility into how your product is like being received by the market. I think one of the things that I got advised early, and I'm so thankful that was don't delegate sales until you absolutely have to, until you're bursting. Like, even if it is not a natural place for you to go, suck it up and figure out how to do it because it will pay off. Like, the dividends will come later on.
Ooh, that's some solid advice. That's like a golden nugget of this conversation, I think, is, just diving in. And so, looking at where you're going now, you mentioned the sales is like something you're growing in. So, how long that has that been on your radar or like, and what have you been trying so far with improving in sales?
So I would say we spent the first probably 4 to 5 months pretty heads down building the product. You can't sell it before you've got it built, or you can, but like that's a risky business to be in, especially since we're dealing with construction. And so a big part of it for us has been like just over the last 2 months, right? Like, we've been really ramping up and figuring out how to do it. And I think the pieces where we are focusing our efforts first are really narrowing down like who's our ideal customer profile. We've got
Mhm.
three potential ones, but like, where are we going to get best conversion fastest and why? Where are we going to get highest willingness to pay and why? Um, and then the next place is really like tuning the value proposition. There's lots of different ways that we can talk about the value we provide. Like, we could say, we save you time. We could say we save you money. We could say we like accelerate your project, right? Like, which pieces of those value resonate to who is another piece that we're really focused on refining right now. And then the last part is, where do you go for outbound? And like, is outbound or inbound better, right? Like, should you be in physical channels like conferences or like trade associations, or is it more fruitful for you to those only scale so far? Is LinkedIn a good channel? Is email outbound a channel? Like, how do you leverage your network, and where do those things yield the best results? Like, those are the kinds of things that we're focused on right now.
Oh, nice. Now, I was gonna ask, like, who is your ideal customer? So it sounds like you have three potential. So what does that look like?
Yeah, I think it's worth stepping back and saying, like, what do we do, and who plays in this space, and that kind of frames up how we're selling things. So we have an AI agent platform for site investigation and site plan review, and effectively that's for people who are doing pre-construction work. You haven't built a building yet, you're just in the design phase, and typically the group of stakeholders in that phase are folks like architects and civil engineers and land use attorneys and developers or owners, right? They all play a different role. Now, our product specifically is thinking about, how do you use the land? And is the way that you intend to use the land compliant? Um, our immediate and most natural fit for this product is a civil engineer, or a civil engineering firm. They are the people who are drafting these plans today. They are the people that like feel this pain and friction that's created by site plan review. And when we went out and initially pressure tested the ICP, these were the people who were like, oh, you don't have to sell me on the problem. I know the problem intimately. Um, and so, because they feel such intensity around the pain and they know it so well, they are frequently the people who are like most willing to open their doors to us and give us feedback and be design partners and all of that good stuff. The other set of people that have been targeting, and maybe are like more recent targets, are the actual owners, or sometimes those are also called tenants. These are the people who like need to be in the structure. Think like Chick-fil-A or AutoZone, or also like a multifamily developer, right? They're like trying to get the building up. Um, and these are the people who actually benefit most by pulling the project timeline in. The civil engineers benefit from having their hours go down as they're creating a plan, or they benefit from being able to make claims of like we go faster because we have better plans. But the people who tend to save the most money are actually the owners and the tenants. And so we are testing like out of those two ideal customer profiles, who responds better, right? How do you think about the difference between willingness to pay and conversion rate? And where should we be optimizing? That's kind of the journey we're on right now.
Oh, that's exciting. Like what a that's a really cool space to be in and stressful, but cool at the same time, I
It's
bet.
pretty fun.
Awesome. Well, I want to dive into like looking at the future of what you're building. So let's fast forward. Where do you see your company going in the next 3 to 5 years?
So, because we're just getting off the ground now, a lot of our efforts are focused mostly on product market fit, right? Like, do we have the right value propositions? Are we keying in on the right parts of this process to resolve the pain? In 3 to 5 years, we want to be scaled to the United States. We've focused mostly on Austin as our test market. We've begun scaling out to different jurisdictions, but we want to be operating in all jurisdictions in 3 to 5 years, in 3 years, really. And we want to be operating across two different product lines. We want to be operating across both the site plan review and site intelligence. So that's kind of how we see ourselves growing. It's a geographic growth, and it's also kind of like a product suite growth.
Oh, very cool. Well, and then this kind of leads into this fun question. If you and I were sitting down and having a conversation 5 years from now, and you were grinning ear to ear, what would you be telling me?
Oh man, I would tell you, and this kind of gets at like the reason that we began this company. I would tell you that it has never been faster to get through land use approval, and that we as consumers all feel the benefit. Like we feel housing coming online faster. We feel rental prices dropping. We feel supply coming up. Um, Ultimately, if you think about the impact of long timelines for approval, it means that it takes longer for buildings to get built. It means that those costs go up because time is money in building. And those costs are borne by us. They're borne by every single person who wants to rent an apartment or rent out a space for a business. Um, and that's a large driver of the housing supply issue. It also translates into like roads that we have, right? It makes all the roads more expensive. It means we can't build rails. And so that would be my impact.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. Very cool. Now, when you think about this, what does this personally do for you? Like your life, the people in your life getting there.
Uh, Say more on that. I want to make sure I understand the question.
Yeah, so when you get to where you want to go in business, you're doing all of the things that you want to do. What does that unlock for you personally? And like for you and the people in your life?
It's a combination of things, but I think the thing that I think about most is my daughter. Um, I had a mother who was a chemical engineer, and she just loved it, loved every aspect of it. Like I would go to bring your daughter to work day, and she would literally at the plant, like be outside in the parking lot, far away from the actual plant. She would take the kids out, and she would create these like experiments for us. Sometimes there were bubbles that literally floated in the air that she could like light on fire that would stay lit. It's like, and she would tell us like the closest thing in the real world to magic is chemistry. And I could just feel her love for it, right? And it really fundamentally influenced how I viewed women in the workforce, how I viewed like our participation. And then I think about the influence that I want to have on my daughter. And I want her to believe that she can do those things, that she can create things in this world. And so it's a hard trade-off with like a young child, right? Because it's time away from them too. But I think that time away can also be really important as long as you're present when you're there. And my hope would be the impact that it has on her is she never has to wonder whether she belongs in a room. Like,
Mm,
always thinks that she can do anything she sets her mind to.
yeah. Wow. That's really powerful. And that's so awesome that you had that in your mom and or have that. And it's like it's true. Chemistry really is like magic. I mean,
It is like magic. She's not wrong.
she's not wrong. That's a really cool story. Now, looking at this gap you have now, you just are in your first year, 5 years from now, what is the biggest obstacle you see in your growth that's hold that between now and 5 years from now?
I really think it is figuring out how to build a scalable go to market engine. Like, we feel pretty confident in the product at this point, and we are also tremendously benefited by the advancements in AI models, the foundational models under the hood. Ultimately, though, I think the thing that we need to do is twofold. We need to go find our customers and ensure that they know about us and we're top of mind and that they understand that this is a solution for their problems. But I think we also need to do a good amount of education. Like, there's no competitor in this space for us per se, right? There's no entrenched AI agentic site plan reviewer that we have to displace. What we
Mhm.
have to displace is the lack of inertia. Most people have just accepted that this is long and drawn out and terrible. And when you tell them there's a better way, frequently there's skepticism associated with it, right? Like, I could build a better plan, but like, would it make a difference? Would it actually go through the city faster?
Mhm.
And I think that is one of our bigger go to market hurdles that we need to clear is like really drawing out and painting the case of like, yes, this does matter, right? And like, yes, this will get you better outcomes.
Definitely. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, this has been a great conversation so far, and I want to dive into a couple of questions. Actually, there's four of them. They're rapid fire Q&A, super fun, and you just answer very top of mind. So, are you ready for some rapid fire?
I'm in.
All right. Question number one is, what is the key to success for you?
Mm. Can I give two? Two? I'm going to give two. Unbridled optimism and grit.
Oh, so seriously, yep. The optimism one, that's for sure, because it's easy to kind of go, "Rrrt."
Oh, yeah. You have to will whatever you want into being. And in spite of like lots of moments where you're like, is this ever going to work?
Yeah, totally get that. Okay, second one is what is a piece of advice you have for other business owners?
Mm. I think one quick story. I was at a conference a while ago. This is back in a previous era, and I got to be watch this hedge fund guy called Tipper X talk about like why insider trading became so prolific in hedge funds and why he got caught. And he pointed around at the room and he was like, at some point it just became so commonplace for us to insider trade. Everybody was doing it and it didn't feel like a crime anymore. Right. And he said, I believe that most people become an average of the five people we spend the most time around. And if those people are doing bad things, you're going to inevitably end up doing bad things. I think for new business owners, really think about who are the five people you want around you. You're going to need people who lift you up and support you and um, are like supporting the unbridled optimism in a lot of ways.
That's
So,
huge. That is huge. So thank you for that sharing that story alongside that too. It's very true. Number three is a fun one. So what is it could be a book or a podcast? Like what are you into right now?
I just read a book called Century of Plenty. I recommend. It basically is a book about how do we envision a world where in a century from now, uh, we can support like the lowest level of income and quality of life is the average of what a Swiss citizen gets today. And they're like, could we support it? And the answer is unequivocally yes. We have enough energy, we have enough agriculture, we have enough um, technology. The question is, how do we create it?
Mhm.
And I think that to me was like, how do we create a world of amazing abundance? And that is just like anti to the hype cycle today, which is tends to be very negative.
Mhm.
Um, it really focuses us on like, how do we create the future we want?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. That's a good one. And the fourth question is, if I gave you a little bit of magic dust and you could sprinkle it on one aspect of your business to rapidly improve it, what would it be?
Oh gosh. Sales, man.
Sales.
Sales.
Very true. Very true. Oh, well, Heidi, this has been such a fun conversation. Let's help spread the word about your business. How can people connect with you and your company online?
We are at noeticbuild.com. You can also hit me up on LinkedIn. My name is Heidi Laki. Um, those are the two best ways to get a hold of me, honestly. And we're such a small firm that like I personally respond to all of the web forms filled out on our website. Any of the LinkedIn messages I get, please reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you, Heidi, for our final question today. What is most inspiring to you today?
Mm, I'm going to go with thinking about an amazing world of abundance. I truly believe that we are in a period of unprecedented innovation, and
Hmm.
it has the power to change like how the quality of life we lead. And
Yeah.
we can use that for good or not. And I think about every day about how we want to use it for good and the amazing
Uh,
life we could have.
that is amazing. That's inspiring to me and I'm sure the audience. So thank you, Heidi, for sharing your story and your business with me today.
Thank you. Thank you very much for having me, Kim.